Power projection is best done by the Navy of any country. If the Army has to demonstrate force, it must march close to the border and in formations, which invites retaliation. The finest instrument of force projection is an aircraft carrier. Having a mobile airbase with a strike group can put any possible opponent on high alert and make them afraid to deploy for fear of instant reprisal. Such is an aircraft carrier's power. Its primary function is force projection, and without aircraft carriers, a country cannot claim to be a global power. Here are some of the reasons why aircraft carriers are so important to a country's strength. An aircraft carrier is a large ship that transports military aircraft and has a long, flat surface where they take off and land. They can pack a lot of firepower into a little space. They may offer a whole combat group with strong air defense and attack capabilities. They are absolutely necessary in providing air support to any landing operation. In rare situations, it can even transport bigger ground assault aircraft. They act as mobile command and control centers, as well as a platform for situational monitoring and analysis. During World War II's early phases, carriers were first utilized in battle. The December 7, 1941 Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor by carrier-based planes proved the aircraft carrier's capabilities. The Indian Navy has quietly grown into one of the world's most formidable navies, and it is continually growing. It has operated aircraft carriers non-stop since 1961, second only to the U.S. Navy in this regard. That is something that not even the renowned Royal Navy can match, and no, the HMS Ocean does not count. On March 4, 1961, India's maritime history was permanently transformed when the first aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, was commissioned. The carrier, which was built for the British Royal Navy as HMS Hercules in 1943. The first significant action for India, following the arrival of its first carrier, was Operation Vijay in December 1961, which aimed to liberate Goa from the Portuguese. The carrier did not participate, since it seemed overkill to employ a hammer on such a little creature. 4 Portuguese frigates and numerous patrol boats were assigned to patrol the waters off Goa and its nearby islands. Eventually, only one frigate saw action against Indian Navy ships. The other ships fleeing before hostilities began. The sheer awareness of the carrier's position, roughly 100 nautical miles off the coast of Goa, may have had a psychological influence on the Portuguese, who were unable to bring in naval reinforcements. The Portuguese ship was destroyed by Indian frigates. Does the Indian Navy require an aircraft carrier? Yes, definitely. Given India's huge coastline, it makes sensible to have 2 big aircraft carrier groups to defend the country's southern and eastern coastal flanks. The Indian Ocean is important today, perhaps more than ever. It is a key international trading route, particularly for energy. Its coastline is huge, heavily inhabited, and home to some of the world's fastest expanding areas. The ocean also provides rich fisheries and mineral resources. Nonetheless, its governance and security are constantly threatened, whether by non-state actors like as pirates, smugglers, and terrorists, or by covert naval competition between governments. India requires a navy to safeguard and defend its interests as it grows its regional influence through trade and commerce. African countries' trade is improving. India is involved in various African projects and a naval presence in the Arabian Sea. An Indian Ocean is necessary to discourage the Chinese. Despite their overwhelming numbers, The Chinese have a significant disadvantage in that their navy lacks genuine battle experience. As a result, India is increasing its naval presence there. Defending these interests will need the presence of a carrier fleet in the region. India has traditionally placed a high value on aircraft carriers as a symbol of naval supremacy. Beginning with INS Vikrant, which served India from 1961 to 1997. And then the Centaur-class carrier HMS Hermes, which was renamed INS Virat in India, and served in the Indian Navy from 1987 to 2016. The 45,000-ton INS Vikramaditya, which entered service in 2014, and can operate up to 26 MiG-29K fighters, as well as utility helicopters, is the country's sole aircraft carrier. However, the first indigenous aircraft carrier, also known as INS Vikrant, is now conducting sea trials, and is expected to be commissioned very soon. According to naval tradition, ships never die, and the indigenous aircraft carrier will return in a new form, with the same name, INS Vikrant. This is India's first aircraft carrier. The vessel's construction began in 2009 at the Cochin Shipyard Limited with a total cost of roughly $3.0 billion. INS Vikrant, or IAC-1, was designed by the Indian Navy's Directorate of Naval Design. According to officials, the ship's electricity can light up half of Kochi city. Cables on board run to a total length of 2,600 kilometers. The steel used in the ship was similar to 3 Eiffel Towers. Only 5 or 6 countries are now capable of producing an aircraft carrier. India has now joined this exclusive club. According to experts and Navy officials, India has proved the capability and self-reliance required to construct one of the world's most modern and complicated battleships. Inside the ship, there is a fully working medical center with 2 operating rooms. There is a kitchen to meet the needs of at least 2,000 employees. And the hangar can accommodate 20 aircraft. Over 76% of the material and equipment on board IAC-1 is indigenous, including 21,500 tons of special-grade steel created indigenously and employed for the first time in Indian naval ships. Over 50 Indian manufacturers were actively involved in the project, which is the product of the labors of over 40,000 individuals who were directly or indirectly employed in its development. Over 3/4 of the entire project expenditure has been reinvested in the Indian economy. The indigenous aircraft carrier, Vikrant, is 262 meters long, 62 meters wide, and 30 meters deep, excluding the superstructure. The ship contains about 2,300 compartments, planned for a crew of around 1,700 people, including specialized accommodations for female officers when they embark. The ship's peak speed is around 28 knots, while its cruising speed is approximately 18 knots. With a range of 7,500 nautical miles, she can practically cross India's entire coastline twice, without needing to refuel. Following its induction, INS Vikrant will be a critical component in the Indian Navy's attempt to establish itself as a blue water force, that is, one capable of projecting power on faraway seas. It is especially crucial in light of India's aim to be a net security provider in the Indian Ocean area, where it has a major competitor in the form of China, whose navy, like India's, is largely focused on aircraft carriers, and has already inducted 2 warships. Thank you for watching Athena Defense. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content.